Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidiyate. Okay, let's map out what we have said so far. I don't know what I'm going to draw. Something's going to come out. Okay, let's get some model about this Satya Mithya. So, what do we say so far? We said, I'm left-handed, so. Okay, so we said Jiva Srishti. Jiva Srishti. Okay, and we gave example of snake rope, and we have here Ishvara Srishti. Ishvara Srishti. And here we have, we can say shirt and cotton. So Jiva Srishti, we said, when this snake, okay, this snake does not belong to the rope. You see that? Can you see? The snake does not belong to the rope. But what happened? The Jiva's own projection created this snake by the help of a rope. So we needed the rope. The rope belongs to Ishvara Srishti. Okay? Ishvara Srishti is the empirical world that we experienced. Okay? In this case, both the shirt and the cotton belong to Ishvara Srishti. But now in this case, let's come back here. What happened? So Jiva Srishti is, I see it, therefore it is. So I see the snake, therefore this thing, there's no question of rope. It's just a snake. Whereas Ishvara Srishti is, it is, therefore I see it. Okay? So I see it, therefore it is. So in this case, we rule out the rope. So this means we have now ruled out Ishvara. Okay? So this means we're now one step further away from Ishvara. Because I ruled out Ishvara because what? I superimposed my own projection onto Ishvara. But now we went one step further. We said, well, let's analyze the rope. Okay, let's analyze the rope. See, rope is mithya, right? Because it's got dependence. It's just like shirt and cotton. Rope, what's rope made out of? Cotton, I believe. I think, whatever. What's rope made? Huh? Hemp. Maybe we'll put hemp, right? So now we can just say what? Rope, hemp. Right, you get the idea. So rope depends on the hemp depends on it. It's the same like here, shirt and cotton. So you can put this category towards Ishvara Srishti. So now we bring rope over and we put rope and hemp. Okay. But now, suppose we want to analyze any aspect of Ishvara Srishti. So we're now talking about the empirical world. There's no question of projection here. So suppose you go, we'll stick with shirt and cotton. This is a more familiar example, but you get the idea. It's the same thing. So I'll bring shirt and cotton. Let's analyze shirt. So we got shirt. Okay. Shirt. Shirt depends on cotton. Cotton depends on, I would say, yarn, whatever they call it, yarn. depends on molecules, depends on atoms, depends on particles, depends on now if you look deeper into any particle, because we don't have the right instrumentation, you see it's just nothing, space. It's literally just space. You can't even find any material anymore if you had the right instrumentation. So for the sake, we'll just put what? Particle times space, and time space. Now you postulate time and space with what? Your mind. What is there to postulate about time and space unless you got an instrument that can even capture the idea of length, of distance, because it's the distance that gives you what? An idea of space. Or time that gives you a sense of progression. What gives you a sense of progression? The mind. What are you experiencing right now? Change. You're just experiencing change. So what is time? Changing of names and forms. Changing of forms. And the amount of changes you then call time. So what is time? It's nothing but the quantity of changes that have taken place. If you watch this for what we call 5 minutes, then you will call that 5 minutes worth of time. But now if you just go to room, you call that what? 3 seconds. But what's the same thing? What did you experience? You experienced change. All you experienced was change, modifications of existence taking place for a certain amount of quantity, and you call that another name and form called what? Time. Even time is just another name we attribute to what? Reality, to account the quantity of changes that have been witnessed by your mind. But your mind also enjoys existence. What is there to say about the mind if it doesn't exist? So time, space, mind. Mind depends on a conscious being. I. Chit. So what do we have here? We have shirt. Let's go backwards. How many particles make up an atom? Suppose, I don't know what atom you're talking about, right? Exactly, 10, 11, we don't know. The question is why 10 or 11 or 12? So this implies intelligence. The fact that a certain amount of particles make up an atom implies intelligence. So what do you have? You have intelligence. So in other words, there's an intelligence to tell how many of hydrogen and oxygen molecule atoms you need to create water. That's intelligence. So every part there is what? Now how many atoms, what combination of atoms are coming together to form a molecule? That is intelligence. Now how many molecules and what kind of molecules will create yarn? That is intelligence. Now, what kind of yarn quality and what will how strong will the cotton be when the final product ensues? That is intelligence. And finally, the cotton? Now you take over. The man's mind takes over, and it says, well, let's produce out of cotton whatever, a shirt or anything. But that intelligence also is the man's intelligence. Now, it depends on what. That's just intelligence of the brain working. So what can we find common here? We find intelligence, and material. Intelligence and material. Understand so far? Very easy. Yeah, intelligence and material. But suppose you're looking at every level. Shirt is because of shirt awareness. Cotton is because of cotton awareness. Yarn is because of yarn awareness. Molecule is because of molecule awareness. Atom is because of atom awareness. Particles are because of particle awareness. Time-space is because of time-space awareness. Mind is because of mind awareness. Therefore, what do they all have in common? Is and awareness. We have Sat and Chit. Sat Chit, 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 Sat Chit. Ultimately, at every level of Mithya that you look down into, what's common? Sat and Chit. And what do we say about all of these? They're all intelligence and material. And what is that? Ishvara. So this means that every level of Ishvara is what? Obtaining Sat and Chit. Therefore, Ishvara, the entirety of Ishvara depends upon what? Sat and Chit. Understand? Sat and Chit. And this Sat and Chit is what? Discovered. How? By first looking into the world. You understand? We're analyzing the world. The only way to arrive to Sat and Chit is to look at the truth of every single object. It doesn't matter what object, it's always going to be the same story. The object has intelligence, has material, but intelligence and material depend upon Sat and Chit. Therefore, the entire world, which you can resolve into however many forms, always resolves into existence awareness. Okay? But how to arrive here? Step 1. Get rid of Jiva Srishti. Because Jiva Srishti is this reality which overlays itself over Ishvara. Therefore, the inquiry won't even take place. I will start judging. Oh, shirt, I don't want a shirt. I want to need a new shirt. I don't like this shirt. So what kind of questions are going into the shirt? You know, the shirt is too expensive. I should buy a better shirt. I should clean my shirt. So in other words, as long as I've got personal opinions, I will never even start the inquiry of what is this world composed of. So Jiva Srishti, Ishvara Srishti, and we said that this is what produces all your emotional complexions regarding the world. Whenever we see something that triggers us, what triggers us? It's not Ishvara Srishti, it is always Jiva Srishti. I've superimposed the snake, my opinion, onto what is happening. Therefore, when we say surrender to Ishvara, why should I surrender to Ishvara? Because that is the only way that I can discover the truth of myself, the truth of this world. How to discover the truth of this world? By understanding that this entire world is pervaded by nimitta upadana karanam, efficient and material cause, and every level of whatever you break down, there's an intelligence holding it together, and there is material. And intelligence, material depends on you. Therefore now you say, what's the difference between you, Sat and Chit, and the world, Sat and Chit? There's no difference whatsoever. It's all one Sat and Chit. However, you're now asking, yeah, but still I don't understand. How does this world come out of Sat and Chit? That's what we really want to know. So let's see what the verse says, if it is going to even come up. In fact, the whole point of snake and rope in Vedanta is nothing philosophical. It's just to demonstrate how, when you see a snake, you have a genuine emotional response. Okay? It's just meant to address the Jiva and Ishvara Srishti, and how, when I see something in this world that, that triggers me, or that I have an opinion about, it's nothing but a personal projection over reality. And we have, we have many examples like this. We have shell coin. There's a go on the beach and you see something shiny, and now why do you walk over there? Because it's shiny. First thing in the mind pops up is a coin. Oh, maybe it's a special coin. I'm going to get rich. So I walk over there. So what happened? My projection drove me over there. My value for money drove me over there. But then when I look It is just a simple, inexpensive shell that you can find all over the place. But the point is, what has my projection done? It literally moved the body from one place to the other. We call this ongoing traveling. Ongoing traveling. Moving the body because the value is over there, it's over there, it's over there, it's over there, when in fact, wherever you walk is this whole one reality pervaded by nimitta and upadana karan, by God, by Ishvara. So what's the difference between over there and over here? God is over there, God is over here. What's the only difference? Forms. Just forms, which we give different names to. So
but is it right that when we remove the whole jiva sushti, the truth is already there, more or less, because everything appears in you, so it's clear that...
No, because, see, when you remove, jiva sushti, then you arrive, you see the world. You see the world. This is called objectivity. Shama, objectivity, right? Shama. But now, most people stop there. They say, wow, this is a nice, beautiful world. I love this world. And so the world becomes the final satyam. Whereas the world is also mithya. And therefore, and what? So this mithya world resolves into the final satyam. Okay, but you only come to that question when, the jiva srishti has been handled properly. This is why in a university or your friends are probably not going to ask the question because, they want jiva srishti. I see a woman and then I project value onto her that she doesn't have. And so, I superimpose some idol onto this person when in fact it is just objectively a human being. It's someone's daughter, it is someone's son, they have their own issues. So I lost objectivity. Therefore, I cannot see Ishvara. Where is Ishvara? In every single person that we talk to, that is Ishvara. But why do we then not act accordingly? Because of jiva srishti. This is why we can even hear this teaching and we say, wow, so God is looking at me right now. But then we start to act according to our own projections. You see? So even if you've heard this, the jiva srishti is so strong that it keeps on overlaying itself. The snake keeps on overlaying the rope. Yeah, so this is why it's very important to retain one's objectivity in this world, so that so you can actually live this. Otherwise, the question of living this every day, as I said in the beginning, feeling it all the time, seeing this existence, seeing the truth in all things becomes very hard if there's in the background projection onto God. Yeah. So what have we established so far? Think of anything without awareness. No. So and think of anything without it existing. You see, this is very clear by now. It exists and there is awareness of it. So this means awareness and existence are the invariable through and through all, the entire line. No matter what you analyze, these two will be invariable. Suppose, so this means you cannot say cup, you cannot say shirt without Sat Chit. Cannot know about cotton without Sat Chit. Shirt is because shirt awareness. Suppose God somehow comes down and embodies himself and he says in a powerful voice, I am God, I am God, thunderous, powerful, holy voice. And he says that to someone in this class. Someone in this class is smart enough to ask a question back. And what question do you say? God said, I am God. And you say,
me too.
It's like, go away. Go on. So, okay. So, I am God. And then you say, who is this I am? You know, who is this I am? And God says, has no choice but to say, the one that is aware of my all knowledge, all power. If I ask you, who are you? You say, I am person. What does person say? Person says, who is this I am? The I am that's aware of my limited knowledge power. God says, I am aware of my limitless knowledge power. You say, I am aware of my limited knowledge power. What's common? I am. I am existence, awareness. What is different? Knowledge. Doesn't matter if you have limited knowledge or limitless knowledge. Why does it matter to you? Just for a moment there's limited knowledge, so what? But what's common? I am. Existence, awareness, both. Which means that Sat is limitless. Even Ishvara, all knowledge, all power, obtains within Sat. Which is why we say Sat Chit is what? Ananda. Full, limitless. So this means it is that which accommodates even all knowledge, all power. And you just said that you too are the one who is aware of limited knowledge. So this means this I am is the one who is accommodating what? Ishvara. Ishvara says I am, you say I am. It doesn't matter whether you're accommodating the total, whether you're accommodating the little. The point is, you are the presence in whom the entire universe, whether in a limitless scale or whether this much is accommodated because of the very I am that you say. Therefore, both Ishvara and you enjoy Brahman, are within the scope of Brahman. Sat-chit. When I say Brahman, I just mean Sat-chit. So therefore, you being Brahman, this I am, that obtains through and through all things as existence awareness, which means you are now what? You are the cause of the entire universe, because even Ishvara obtains within you. So this means you are the what we call the Jagat Karanam, the cause of the universe, which means this whole universe relies upon you, has its existence in you, is sustained by you, and resolves back into you. But perhaps a question comes. How is it that, how do you have the universe of Mithya, how do you have Mithya come out of Satyam? How does multiplicity, how do I explain away this world, which is so much complexity? How does it all arise from Brahman? And when I say Brahman, what am I talking about? I'm talking about that which obtains through and through all things. Another name you want to put for Brahman, when we say Satyam Jnanam Anantam and Sat Chit Ananda, these are equivalent terms. Sat Chit Ananda, another popular that you may encounter is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. And you want to note that down. Sat Chit Ananda and Satyam Jnanam Anantam.
Can you repeat the last word? I didn't understand.
Anantam. Anantam. Okay, so what is Satyam? Satyam is the same as Sat. Jnanam, what do we say about Chit? Chit is Jnanam Swarupa, the nature of knowledge. So therefore, Satyam Jnanam is a chit. Satyam Jnanam is chit. And Ananda, we said fullness, but what's another name for fullness? Ananta, infinite. So Ananta means infinite. Infinite. So we said that Brahman, thus, this reality. Now, why do I say Brahman, by the way? Why do I suddenly change this language like this? We went from Sat Chit into Brahman. Because on the beginning, we said that this one eternal reality, which is through and through all things, is called Brahman. Remember we said Nityam Vastu Ekam Brahma? Okay, so that Brahman, when you say Brahman, you're including Sat and Chit and Ananda in that word. It's just a shorthand way of saying Sat, Chit and Ananda. Okay? So this means that now Brahman is the ultimate cause because everything resolves into Sat and Chit. Is this clear? Everything resolves into Sat, into Brahman, into Sat and Chit. So this means Sat and Chit, Brahman, is the final cause of the universe. There's nothing before it. Because what caused existence? Nothing caused existence. Was always existence. What caused awareness? Nothing caused awareness. Awareness is the final reality. It was always there. It was always true. Therefore, it was beginningless. So existence awareness is beginningless. So this means out of existence awareness arises this universe. So now if the universe arises out of Brahman, then that means that this universe is what? It's is it an extension? Is it an extension onto Brahman?
No.
Is it in some way making Brahman bigger?
No.
No, because all that is here is Brahman. All that is here is one. So this means this world doesn't in any way add onto Brahman. It doesn't subtract onto Brahman. It has its entire being not apart from Brahman. Therefore, is there any real creation? Is there any real has anything new been created? Has anything new been created? No, because the material was already there. So there's no real creation. This is why we say it's an apparent creation. What does apparent creation mean? It means that which was always there all along, it just seems to be changing. It seems to be changing. Now there seems to be no universe. Now there seems to be a universe. Now there seem to be people. Now there seem to not be any people. But nothing's changing. You melt all of those golden ornaments, and what do you get? You get the same molten gold. So this means this gold, it's shape-shifting, it's changing, but is any more gold being added? Is anything new being created? No. All the gold is already there. The only thing that's changing is what? The forms are changing, but the gold remains through all things.
It's like the dream, right? Again, the waker remains alive.
Yeah, so the waker, that you remain completely independent of whatever happens within the dream. Even though you're the cause of the dream, whatever nuclear explosion happens in a dream, and you wake up and none of it had any effect upon you. The entire world has resolved into you. So what? The entire universe resolves into Brahman. Out of Brahman arises the universe, and because of Brahman is the universe sustained. Again, objection comes. How does out of Brahman arise Mithya? How out of awareness arises this world of multiplicity? And how do we explain this? So, Brahman, Brahman enjoys a power. It enjoys a power. Consciousness just enjoys a power. That's just how it is. Don't ask why. Why does it enjoy power? It just enjoys a power. Thank God it enjoys a power. A very beautiful creative power. A power infinitely creative, infinitely intelligent, infinitely powerful, with infinite materials. So this power is what we call Maya Upadhi. Maya Upadhi. That's two long A's, please. Not Maya, because that's camel. Maya is the official name. Camel created. Okay. So now you say, what's this extra word? In fact, the two words, see, you got Maya and you got Upadhi. So this extra word has to be looked into, because to explain Maya, you have to explain Upadhi. So now, what is Upadhi? Upadhi is that which makes something appear different without intrinsically changing it at all. So, for example, we started out with a very simple example, and we said, we have a rose. The rose is Upadhi. The crystal is what we call Upahita. Upahita. What is Upahita? That which as though takes the attributes of something else. Upadhi is that which as though lends its attributes to something, which makes it appear different, but it's not really changed it at all. Just like the rose has not changed the crystal. The crystal remains pure, remains clear, but the rose seems to have given the redness to the crystal. Therefore, and now the crystal appears red, but is it really red? No. If the crystal was really red, that means by the time you put a blue flower, that crystal would remain red. But you remove the red flower, immediately the crystal's clear. You put the blue flower, it now what? Now it appears blue. So it hasn't been contaminated by anything that arose. So now this Upadhi is, again, we have, a dream. When you dream, what happens? Your mind is an Upadhi. What does your mind do? It makes you appear something that you are not. It makes you appear like a world. It makes you appear like your brother. It makes you appear like your sister. You appear like that office desk, like that colleague, that person that said something to you and that hurt you, that person who made you happy. It makes you appear like many different things. So your mind is what? Now the Upadhi, but has it changed you? Has it changed you? Not at all. So this is the Upadhi relationship. Therefore, now when we say...
Isn't it that the identification is working exactly the same? Like, it seems you're identified as something, but actually you're not. It's also Upadhi.
You're identifying with something, but actually you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, see, are we now talking about errors? I'm not quite clear. See, if that's an error, so I identify with something, but actually, that's just an Upadhi. Yeah. So this means it's my problem. That's a Jiva Srishti problem.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So the mechanism is the same.
So the mechanism is, it's called now Jiva Upadhi. So Jiva Upadhi has superimposed over what? Ishvara Upadhi. Understand?
Yeah.
So now we got... Okay, so we got two Upadhis to deal with, which is same idea. Jiva Srishti, Ishvara Srishti, same idea. Yeah. So now we have what? Here, so Brahman with Maya Upadhi becomes what? Becomes Ishvara. Brahman with Maya Upadhi. You say, what is Maya Upadhi? We described the word Upadhi. Have we talked about Maya? No. What is Maya? All knowledge, all power. Full stop. All knowledge, all power. So this means now when Brahman is, Brahman with Maya Upadhi seems like what? I am from the reference, in reference to the creation, Brahman is now called Ishvara, called God. So this means if we can, what, 10 o'clock? Okay. So maybe, I don't know how much clarification we need. So we have Brahman, okay, and then we have Maya, okay. So this, what is this Maya? It is a power, okay, enjoyed by Brahman. When I say enjoyed, I'm not talking about Brahman is reveling in his power. I'm just saying it is a power in Brahman. Very simple. Now, when this power activates, we'll just call it activate for now, in reference to what is manifested, we call this world. And what is the world made of? We just discussed. It's an interconnected world. Where can you not find an interconnection here? The whole thing is interconnected of intelligence and material. So this means this Maya is what? All knowledge, all power. Please don't call it ignorance. All knowledge, all power. When this Maya, comes, then Brahman, in reference to Maya, is now called Ishvara. Ishvara. Now, Ishvara, therefore, becomes all knowledge, all power. Because we said even knowledge and power requires presence of Sat and Chit. Understand? Even knowledge and power requires existence and awareness. Otherwise, what are you going to do with knowledge? Unconscious. A person is unconscious. You need to infuse consciousness to do anything with knowledge and power. Therefore, consciousness with knowledge and power, you have now called Ishvara, which we call God. So what is God? Consciousness plus all knowledge, all power. When I say all knowledge, all power, what am I referring to? Maya. When I say consciousness, existence consciousness, what am I referring to? Brahman. So what is God? Consciousness plus all knowledge, all power equals, what is Ishvara? Consciousness plus all knowledge, all power. So then what is God now? Conscious being with all knowledge, all power. And through this conscious, or by this conscious being, what is produced? This world that you're experiencing right now. And if you analyze anything in this world, like we did, shirt, cotton, yarn, particle, it always enjoys what? Knowledge, power. Knowledge, power. Knowledge, power. Knowledge, power. Knowledge, power. But knowledge, power depends upon Brahman, Sat and Chit. Okay, hopefully this will become more clear as we take more verses.
But Ishvara doesn't become the word, right? Like he doesn't become.
No, Brahman doesn't become. So Brahman, in reference to, when the world is created, as it is right now, you ask, who is this creator? We say Ishvara. But then we ask, who is Ishvara? What is Ishvara? We say, all knowledge, all power that is conscious because of Brahman.
But is this flower Ishvara, for example?
Yeah, everything is Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara because it's material and it's intelligently put together. But how do you intelligently put together unless you're conscious? Even if you have all knowledge, all power, can you intelligently do anything with it unless you're infused with consciousness, with awareness? Can you imagine an inert all knowledge, all power, just like lying there? So just like you have knowledge and power right now, right? Now you can create a house, correct? You can create a cook, maybe some food. That implies what? You have knowledge and power, right? But what else is there besides knowledge and power? You, consciousness, the one that's conscious. In that same manner, The only difference between you and Ishvara is Ishvara has all knowledge, all power, whereas we have limited knowledge, limited power, which is why we can only create this much. We can just put a flower here and say, this is my creation, but Ishvara can sculpt the entire universe and say, this is my creation. Understand? So the only difference is between knowledge and power, but both depend upon Sat and Chit, Brahman, for their existence and to even do anything with that knowledge in the first place. Okay, maybe the verses will help us further because I'm just preparing us for the verses. Okay, we've not even started the verses yet. I just want to ask this question for us. What is the point of the Maya teaching? Oh my God. What is the point of Maya teaching? Is it to now ask, oh, what is Maya? You know, why this Maya? Let's analyze Maya. I tell you, there's so much unfortunate interest in this word Maya that it is unnecessary. What's the point of the Maya teaching? It is just to explain away this universe. In fact, there's a story to demonstrate this. There was a father who had 3 sons. And this father said, when I die, I will leave my elephants to my 3 sons. And my oldest son will get half of my elephants. My second oldest son will get 1/3, and my newest son will get 1/9. So unfortunately, when the father died, then he died with 17 elephants. So now you have to divide these 17 elephants amongst these 3 sons. So if you now, how do you divide half of 17 is what, 8 and a half. So nobody wants half an elephant. So the 3 brothers got into the fight and they started to quarrel, they started to argue, and they got out into the public, and it was just a big quarreling show of fists and fights. But while they were quarreling, luckily, the minister was on his elephant, his big elephant, and he was the mayor of this city. And he stepped off the elephant and says, boys, this is, can I help you? I want to help you out. I want to solve your problem. And so they explained, we want to divide our elephants, but nobody wants half an elephant because there's only 17. So the mayor said, no problem, boys, I will help you out. I will give you my 18th elephant. And so they were so ecstatic. They said, we got 18th elephant, now we can solve our problem. So now they got 18 elephants. So now what's half of 18? 9. So son 1 gets 9 elephants. What's 1/3 of 18? 6. So the second elephant got 6. What's 1/9 of 18? 2. So now 9 plus 6 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So now the 3 brothers got exactly what they want. And what happened to the 18th elephant? The mayor got back on the elephant and he just walked away. And they're like, hey, wait, we want our elephant. But the mayor said, no, I need to take my Maya elephant back into the shed. And so what is Maya? Maya is just something you temporarily bring in to solve a problem that cannot be solved any other way. When you solve the problem of duality and explain this universe, you just put this teaching aside because it serves you no more purpose. So like this elephant was just there, a temporary little measure to solve the problem, and on you go. Okay? So let us see what else.
Will it work the same with Ishvara then?
No, this is called the Maya elephant, not the Ishvara elephant.
No, but concerning this problem, why God?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see, we have to be specific. So how do you explain this, this duality? It is because of Maya. Okay? We only attribute Ishvara when, Brahman is in reference to Maya. Okay, so we're actually explaining Maya out. Not Ishvara. Ishvara is just a name to differentiate, to say, hey, this is God, this is Ishvara. Okay, but what is Ishvara? Ishvara is owing to Maya. Okay, and now what is Maya? How, you know, that which produces appearances, right? Upadhi. Therefore, it is for Maya.
But is Maya Mithya, actually?
Maya is Mithya because it resolves. In fact, you know, Maya, we said, is all knowledge, all power, and material. So, you know, everything, and change. So anything that's changing is Mithya. Knowledge, power is constantly changing. In fact, every time you and I do something in this field of the world, what are we doing? We're contributing another cause into Ishvara. So we are changing Ishvara. We are having a part, because you're not different from Ishvara. So how can you now say, no, you know, Ishvara everything is changing except Sat and Chit. So every time you do something in this world, you're actually adding to the causes of how this universe is to turn out next creation. So this creation, this cycle of creation, is a product of everything that's happened in the previous cycle of creation. And so what are we experiencing? We're experiencing the kind of world and the kind of bodies that, you know, that is in accordance with the previous cycle of creation. And don't think this is your final body, because your bodies are evolving. In 1 million years from now, the human body will be very different than it is right now. The whole thing is changing. Okay, hopefully we finish. So what's the difference, again, to make this clear? The difference is at the level of Upadhi. Okay? So Brahman with total Upadhi, what do we call the total? Maya. Okay, one word. Maya equals total. Total cause. So Brahman with Maya Upadhi. So Brahman with the total Upadhi equals Ishvara. Brahman with a single subtle causal body equals Jiva. So what's the difference? The size of the Upadhi. Big Upadhi, small Upadhi, it is still just Upadhi. So Brahman, in reference to all knowledge, all power, we call that Maya, equals what we call God. Brahman, in reference to a little bit of that knowledge, a little bit of that power, is called Jiva. Now do you understand that there is no such thing as ignorance? Where is there a question of ignorance? There's only knowledge and power. If I don't have total knowledge and power, to explain that away, we call that ignorance. But there's no such thing as ignorance. Why do we say ignorance? It's just absence of the total. There's no question of ignorance, but to call it something, to call partial knowledge something, we call that ignorance. So now, why do you have your causal body? What is Maya? The total causal, what we call the total causal of the universe, the total causal body. And out of that total causal body, a little speck, okay? A little speck. This is a total causal body. A little speck, one speck, another speck, another speck, another speck, another speck. This is Andre's causal, okay? This is, we've got Sokyung's causal, okay? We've got Otto's causal. Yeah? Everyone's got a small causal body. Therefore, how are you supposed to know who you are if you don't have all knowledge, all power? Therefore, and how long was Maya here? As long as Brahman. They're both beginningless. Therefore, there was always what? A tiny causal body for me, for you, for me, for you, etc. Therefore, how long were you and I here? Since beginningless time, because what? Our body is a product of Maya. Maya has its being in Brahman, and Brahman is beginningless. Therefore, whatever manifests out of Maya, out of all knowledge, all power, is by definition also equally beginningless. Therefore, Well, I have this knowledge, this much, but I don't have all. And in reference to having this much and not having this much is what we call ignorance. So now, does ignorance belong to Maya? No, because Maya is all knowledge, all power. When you only have a little bit of that, in reference to not having the total, that you call, I don't know, ignorance. So ignorance belongs to whom?
The mind.
To the individual. What did you say?
The mind.
To the mind, to the individual, yeah. Not to the total. We have some examples of upadi, just to help you understand a little bit better. So what do we say upadi is? Upadi?
Wisdom.
Seemingly limiting factor.
A seemingly limiting, a factor that seemingly limits without intrinsically changing that which it seemingly limits. For example, suppose there's a ball, just an iron ball next to fire, right? And there's fire burning and there's an iron ball. And you leave this iron ball for 3 hours or whatever, 5 hours. Now what's going to happen? The iron ball, or maybe you put it above the fire, better, right? What's going to happen? The iron ball is going to seemingly take on the attributes of brilliance, that brightness, and the heat. And at the same time, the fire, the brightness and the heat, which belongs to the fire, is going to take on a nice round shape. This is what we call mutual superimposition. One has seemingly conditioned the other, and the other has seemingly conditioned the other. Okay? So this means, simple language, okay? This means the attributes called brilliance and heat have passed onto the ball. Clear? But does the ball intrinsically have brilliance and heat? No, but it seems like it. So now when we apply tattva viveka, what does tattva viveka involve? It means a cognitive discernment between the ball and the attributes which it seems to have taken on. So, but now this means you have to first be told what is the truth of the ball and what is the truth of the fire, which is why we tell you what is the truth of you, Sat Chit Ananda, and what is the truth of those attributes, which is the 3 bodies, 5 covers, and the 3 states. So this is why we first get told. Only when you're told what's the nature of the ball, what's the nature of the fire, can you actually now do viveka when they are one and the same, seemingly. You understand?
Can we call it extrinsic attributes? Can we call it like that?
Sorry?
Can we call it extrinsic attributes?
So intrinsic means intrinsically, originally, the iron ball does not have heat or the brilliance. So therefore, intrinsically, the ball has coldness. the ball has roundness. So intrinsically, it does not have hotness and brilliance. Yeah, but intrinsically, the hotness and the brilliance belongs to what? To the fire, right? But in their proximity, it seems like one has influenced the other and the other has influenced another. So now, to discern which is which, you need to apply viveka. Okay. Another example, okay, another simple example is we have, you have a spoon, you put it inside water and the spoon seems bent. It seems bent. Now, is it really bent? It's not really bent. So the water in this case is the upadi. It as though made the spoon seem something that it's not. The spoon is straight, the spoon is just fine, but the water now becomes the upadi. So therefore, now if I look inside the water with the spoon and it's bent, And what happens? I need to now be told the spoon is actually not bent. So even after I'm told that, is the spoon going to suddenly straighten itself? No. So this means it's a cognitive knowing. Despite the spoon being bent, it is actually not bent. So this is what a wise person understands. Despite me, fullness, taking on the attributes of the body, the prana, the intellect, the anand, the happiness, I am actually not limited to that. Again, it is a cognitive understanding. Okay, now let's see what the book says. We have been prepared for the book. Okay, so we'll go to Brahmashraya. You see this? Brahmashraya. Please find it. So Brahmashraya Sattva, it's got Sattva as a second word. Brahmashraya Sattva. Brahmashraya Sattva. Okay. So Brahmashraya Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika. Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika. Maya asti. So Brahmashraya, so Maya depending upon Brahman. And what is this Maya? This Maya, which depends, when I say Maya, I'm talking about what? Potential in Brahman, power in Brahman, potential in Brahman. And what's the nature of this potential? All knowledge, all power. So that potential, it says, that potential depending upon Brahman, it now goes, let's look into what is that potential made out of. And then it says, made up of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So thus we're analyzing Maya right now. And what is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas? It is think of it very simply, it's just a threefold expression that is observed in this universe because of Maya. So it's a threefold expression that you can sort of categorize and see, which is a product of Maya. Now, just to make this more sense, what do I mean by this? So what are these threefold expressions? First is Sattva. Okay? So what is Sattva? It is an expression of thinking, an expression of happiness, an expression of clarity, an expression of goodness, virtue. It's an expression of knowledge, not knowledge awareness, just information, So whenever there's knowledge, you go, aha, I got it. Whenever you get it, that means what? Sattva is obtaining in your mind right now. And then we have Rajas. Rajas is associated to activities, to ambition, to pain, to movement, to power that's able to, put things together. Okay? And then we have Tamas. Tamas is inert material. It is associated to dullness. So whenever we're dull, sometimes, oh my God, what happened to my mind? We're dull. This means Tamas is operating in the mind right now. Tamas is also concealing power. The concealing power of Maya. It's able to conceal certain things. So see, don't analyze too much. It's just a general overview. What is this power? We're not here to look into this because it's not going to help you in the day. You just want to know a little about this Maya and to build a framework of how this universe comes. So we're not going to do too much analysis. So now in the Vedas, they have 4 types of people, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Now what is this? This is just a mixture of these combinations. For example, a Brahmana is a teacher or one who works with data, a lot of knowledge. Those who set the laws, the Constitution, right, in America, right, that is set by Brahmanas, thinker. So if you're a thinker, you're a Brahmana. So this means your composition is going to be sattva, is going to be highest, followed by rajas, followed by tamas. That means you got least downness and most clarity. And then you got the police force. You got those protectors in our society, those who want to uphold the law, those action takers who are actually using the knowledge and going out and actually doing something. They're going out and doing something. So they have a different combination. They have rajas more because they're more active. A philosopher is going to be more in-house, but this one is more active. So they got more rajas, more ambition. And then sattva, and then tamas. And so these 4 combinations in the Vedas are just there to kind of help you see, how these gunas affect the characteristic of the individual, how they affect our personality. So it's not much to analyze there because you know your personality, but your personality can be explained out through these 3 gunas. And what are these 3 gunas? They're nothing but Maya. So this means your personality is an expression of Maya, more or less, in different quantities. Okay. And so what's the conclusion? So this Maya, depending upon Brahman, enjoys different expressions in this world, like falling asleep, that's called tamaguna, is setting in, okay? Staying sharp, that's sattva guna. So these are expressions of Maya. And so they're all what? Names and forms, just names and forms, and they all have their existence depending upon Sat and Chit. So so this means that every expression has its being in what? In Brahman. Now there's a Mahavakya that says, I am Brahman, I am Atma, I am Atma Brahman. This Atma is Brahman. So when we say, these expressions have their being in Brahman, they actually have their being in what? In you. Because I am Atma Brahman. This Atma, this self is Brahman. Because if everything is here is one existence awareness, then how can you say, why are you saying Brahman? Are you excluded from existence awareness? No. So this means everything has its being in you, including your body that's listening right now. In you, the one you that this whole universe also has its existence in right now. Okay? So this means that, are you a created person? Are you a created person? Oh, I'm just a little created person. I've been created. Or are you the cause of the universe? A little ornament. Oh, I'm a little created ornament. And yet the entirety of itself is the gold. So when the ornament says, this entire world of ornaments has its being in me, what is this word me referring to?
Gold.
The gold, not the form. It includes the form, but what's the form made out of? The very same gold in which the entire world of ornaments have their being. So when you, existence, say this entire world of expressions, of these threefold expressions, have their being in me, when you said the word me, what are you referring to? Sat and Chit, existence, awareness, which is fullness. And in that moment, you also included this very body, this very intellect, which made that claim. Because it's also made out of the same Sat and Chit. Okay? This will become more clear as we get on to dig down into the verses. In fact, this is why, we say, knowing one thing, you automatically come to know everything. Knowing, what is this one thing? Sat and Chit, okay? You come to know the truth of all things at once. So by definition, by coming to know yourself, being one, not different from the one, automatically you gain everything. And what is this everything? You gain yourself. Everything. Only oneself. You gain yourself. You gain everything. Because you understand that everything is what? Just a modification of you. Modification of Sat and Chit. Therefore, understanding that all things enjoy Sat and Chit, and I understand that I am Sat and Chit, automatically I have gained what? Self. I have gained myself, in whom everything abides. This will become more and more clear as we go through this. Okay. In fact, let's see how more clear it will become. Because now to understand, this universe, how this universe comes out of you. See, I'm not going to say even Brahman anymore. We're going to change the language now. Comes out of you. When I say you, I'm talking about Atma. To understand how this universe arises out of you, then the verse now wants to give us a model, to help understand how this process of creation arises step by step. So let's see what the next verse says. Tata akashaha sambhutaha. Okay, and then the rest we will not read because it is very simple. Right, so here it wants to mention the 5 elements model. Remember, these are just models to explain this creation. So let's dig into the 5 elements model. And what does it say? In fact, what's the purpose of the 5 elements model? It's to show how this differentiated world, including your body that's now listening to this, how this differentiated world comes out of the undifferentiated with the help of Maya. Okay, with the help of Maya. And if you think about the 3 colors, for example, RGB, red, green, blue. So you only need 3 colors to explain how many? 16 million. So you don't need to now have this huge model of 16 million variables. You only need 5 variables to explain the infinite multiplicity throughout this universe. And what did Vedas do? They have this model called the 5 elements. And so these 5 elements is not to know what came first in this universe. We don't care what came first. This has no bearing on you at all. It's just to show you, how everything resolves into the one same cause, being Brahman. So from Brahman, it says, space is born. Space is a subtle space. And from Brahman space is air born. This is subtle air. And from air is born fire. From now Brahman space, air, fire is born water. From Brahman space, air, fire, water is born earth. So notice, what did you notice about these elements? Space, air, fire, water, earth. What's the commonality here? They're getting grosser and grosser and grosser. Space is very, very subtle, so subtle that it can accommodate anything. It can accommodate air, we're breathing air right now, which is in space, and then fire is slightly denser than air, and now water is more denser than fire, and earth is solid. But now if you analyze further, each one of them is more available to your senses. So if you take air, air can be felt and heard. But fire can be heard. You can hear those sparks. You can hear the fire. You can feel the fire, definitely, and you can see the fire. Now, water, you can do all of that. Plus, you can smell the water. You can taste the water. You can taste the water. And with earth, you can do all of that. Plus, you can smell the earth elements. So now, this is why it is so hard to deal. This is why it's so easy to work with what is gross. It's gross because all five senses are involved. But now, suppose you want to work. I tell you, imagine. A clad of earth. Imagine a clad of earth. Holding it, it's making noise, it's making, it smells, it tastes, okay, I can see it, I can feel it, it is dense. All my five senses are involved to see it. But now you go further, you go into fire. So what's now not possible anymore? You cannot hold fire. You can't hold it in your hand, but you can still see it. But now if I say air, notice how that becomes much harder to kind of think about. Why? Because our senses are no longer working. Only, now you need some inference to get air. In fact, what if I say gas? Is that a little bit easier? Gas? Like vapor? A little bit easier. But now, suppose I say space. Space. Some people think when you say space, what are you referring to? Outer space. It's so hard to grasp space that they think you're referring to outer space. So now, now you can see why it's so hard to grasp existence awareness. Because space is so subtle, we have a hard time grasping it. Now when it comes to existence awareness, which is even subtler than space, and thus what? It's very, very hard to grasp. Which is why someone can go on and on and on and on and thinking about the sat and chit. And the best they can do is just intellectualize it. But they can't go further than this. This is why you need a very sharp, a sharp mind to understand this. This is why the mind is... If the mind has trouble grasping space, then what to say about something that's even subtler than space? Existence, awareness. Yeah. And so let's see where we will continue. We will continue. Okay, so where are we going with this? We're now going how, step by step, how the world is being created, little by little. And we will investigate into this when we come back. Okay, so creation process. We're just going through a creation process a little bit. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.